Thank you. Can I just ask you something? We have a small contest for a picture for the event. Can I just ask you to raise your hand if you want? Thank you. I have the best picture for LinkedIn. So nice to meet you. We are already introduced, so I'm gonna go fast on the first slide. All right. So first, this is interesting to explain you why we choose Belrobotics as a case. Of course, we have great results. To give you a quick overview, but we're gonna talk about it later. When in 2020 we had 1 user from SEO, we have now 2.5 users, so that's quite great. But it's also interesting because it's really complex sometimes and B2B. I don't know how much of you know Belrobotics. Maybe can you raise your hand if you know the group? Yeah, that's normal. You're probably not a greenkeeper or in a club of food, so normal. So I'm gonna let first Diederick present his company and the different products because I think it's really interesting to have his input on that.
Thank you, Corentin. So, Belrobotics is one of the brands of the company Yamabiko. Yamabiko is a Japanese company, 2,000 people working for that company in the world. It's listed on the Tokyo Stock Exchange, and they sell the brand Belrobotics, Echo Robotics, and Shindaiwa. These are brands less known in Europe. They are number one in Asia and in Japan, and they are number two. The brand Echo is number 2 in US. We are competitors of Stihl and Husqvarna, which are European brands that most of you will know. So that's the type of equipment that the Japanese are producing, outdoor power equipment, so trimmer, chainsaws, hedge trimmer, power blower, equipment for green care, and in Asia they also sell agricultural machinery and industrial machinery. Yamabiko Europe is the European seat of Yamabiko, and in fact in the past it was the company named Belrobotics. We are making robot mowers since 2004. The Japanese purchased the company in 2015. I joined in 2015 as sales manager, and all the robots that we are producing are produced in Wavre, in our factory here in Belgium. So we'll just show a video that explains a bit the advantages of our products for professional customers.
What's special about our site is that we have 6 pitches, of which 3 are 100% natural grass, with a very high occupancy rate. These pitches have the maximum dimensions, which means that we have a large surface area of grass to maintain. This requires a great deal of work by all of our teams, constant monitoring, since we must
So this is a video shot on the training camp place where the Red Devils are training, and that's the manager who explained the advantages of the products that we have. So the type of products that we have, they are big robot mowers to cut more big surfaces, and our target are professional users. So we put the pricing, just to give an idea, it's the price of a small car when people purchase. So it's an investment good. It's a longer sales cycle. People won't purchase that directly online, and they want some service that go with it. These are the advantages of a robot compared to traditional mowing: less labor, 50% saving, not only in workforce but also in petrol and energy. The quality of the lawn is better because we mow every day, so it stimulates the growth, and for players, they always play in the same conditions, and it's sustainable. So very important today. As you have seen, we are unknown, and this technology in the very traditional greenkeepers population, they don't do that much high education. They don't have long studies, and it's difficult to reach them, but they are online, they have a mobile phone. And so our goal was to distinguish ourselves from main brands like Husqvarna, who target all consumers. We have to really touch the professional users, and we want to be recognized as the top of mind for professional users. So when a professional says, I want to buy the best, like John Deere, the real professional equipment, and the other equipment is for private owners. This gives an idea of the development since 2015. So these are the figures of the market. So it's on two scales. These are all the robots being sold of more than 1,000 for more than 1,000 square meter. It has a growth of approximately 20. It nearly doubled in 7 years. Nearly doubled in 7 years the market of robot mowers. But we did 200 times better. So we did ×4 in the sales of our robots since 2015. So we sell more than 1,000 robots a year today for two football pitches and golf courses.
Thanks a lot, Diederick. Now it's going to be my turn again. Before giving you the numbers, I think it's also important to mention the challenges and the specificities of the collaboration. First, when people are typing something in Google, they are creative. They type a lot of stuff, sometimes funny, sometimes not. And all these keywords, even in the robot mower field, they are not useful. To give you a quick example, maybe basic but interesting, we don't care about robot mower because these people, there is a lot of searches, but 95% of them, they probably want a small robot for their small garden. They won't invest in a Belrobotics product. We also know that it will be harder to rank on these keywords because there is a lot of competition. A lot of people are trying to rank on that. On the other hand, when someone is typing robot mower for football pitch, we know they are the ones we want to target. We know they want to go on the website. So it's really a high priority for us. To deal with that, we choose to use all these top relevant keywords inside a category of the website. It seems legit, but it was a lot of work in the semantic analysis to find the top keywords and so on. But in the end, we just didn't dump these more generic keywords. To give you a more clear idea, in the blog, sometimes we use these specific keywords, but also more generic ones. For example, at the left, you have an expert content. The plan is really to attract B2B users, like golf manager or club owner and so on. And we know we won't attract a lot of users, but when we attract them, maybe they will convert. And this is really the plan. But on the other hand, the generic content, the one on the right, it was created in July 2019. I don't know if you remember, but it was really hot at this time, so it was the right moment to push that. And it's clearly something that can attract anybody, if you are a bit interested in your garden, of course. And that's also the plan, just to generate awareness, to make people know that Belrobotics exists, and maybe one day they will think about them at the right moment, or they just discuss about Belrobotics. It's also important in another way. It's also because we are writing about the grass, about the lawn, about the robot mower, and we are creating an authority for the website because we are creating a lot of articles about that. And it's also helping the other pages, the category pages, and the important blog. Yeah, it's not a difficulties per se, but it's also a lot of work. Belrobotics has a quite big website, not regarding the pages, but regarding the countries and the languages targeted. There is 16 countries and 22 languages version, so that's a lot of pages to translate and to optimize. But it's the only way to rank well. And this is not a finished job. We are still working on it right now. To give you again an example, the first on the top, it's for the Norwegian pages. And you can see that Budrift is like commercial, and it's clearly not a great title, because nobody will type commercial and try to find Belrobotics, and we still need to improve it. It's the plan, of course. But you can see the English example, where the title is clearly more optimized for the users. And yeah, that's a long-term work, but really rewarding. We also, like Diederick mentioned it a bit earlier, but we are also facing some big competitors. If we take, for example, Husqvarna, they are selling garden tools, they are selling B2C robots and also B2B robots. And when they write content, they have a lot of opportunities because they can write on approximately anything. They can write about a small garden of only 500 square meters. When we write for Belrobotics, even if we have a more generic blog, we can't do the same. We can make an article about the advantages for B2C for robot mower. We can't. It's useless. And because of that, when they write new content, they tend to rank easily. It does not mean we can do better, because we do better, but at the end, they have an advantages for the strategy. And we absolutely have to follow them and to be sure that they won't create better content than us, because if they do, they will rank better thanks to all of that. Yeah, it's also a difficulty and interesting one, because I'm sure some of you are facing that. When you type something like, for example, golf robot mower, you go to the Belrobotics website, you can contact them. You will have a conversion. It's just, hello, I need 5 robots for my field. But they can also go to the distributor map and choose one distributor and go to this website. But we lose information. It means that for us, it's sometimes harder to prove the return on investment, because at the end, these distributors, they get people from us, but we can't follow them. This is a reality. We can change it, because for the user it's great, but we have to deal with it, and we have to keep it in mind when we analyze the data. And some things not difficult, but clearly important and quite great in this case. It's that Belrobotics, they are experts in their field. They have a lot of engineers, a lot of professionals, and when we have to write content, we have always a lot of information. I was writing something about mowing in an airport not so long ago, and they sent me, I think, a PDF with a study, and for me, it's really wonderful, because I have all the information I need to add added value for the customers in my content. And I think if you are working with copywriter or SEO, you need to do that. Just don't fear to send them these awful studies with a lot of numbers, these maybe technical stuff. They love to read that, because it can really help them to add added value in the content. Because at the end, even with bad content, I can attract users, but they won't convert. If the added value is in the content, they will come on the page and they will convert. And yeah, just to give you an idea, Belrobotics, we worked with them since 2016. I wasn't even at Universem at this time. I started on the project in end of 2017, so it's still a long time. And what is also wonderful is that we worked for them since all this time with no interruption. We write content since 2016. We follow up the SEO for all the technical aspects. We had also the opportunity to make cross-analyze with my SEA binôme to find all the weaknesses. For example, the SEA on some keyword wasn't working that well. We know it, we optimize the page for SEO, and we see, like Jeff told you earlier, an increase in conversion, but also a CPC that was decreasing, and great. And yeah, so we really had the time to make it well, and we are continuing to find new opportunities because the Belrobotics is still developing new products. You're gonna see it a bit later. And yeah, also just to let you know that I'm not the only one on the project. I have also other consultants for SEA, for analytics, also a team leader, even multiple team leader in the room. It's really a job of the team because we take the time to discuss, and we also have a lot of discussion with Diederick and Arnaud. Arnaud is more on the operational side. And that's great because when we have a meeting, it's not only showing them the results, they also can give us some information like, okay, we know it's better in Germany this year, but in Austria it's bad. What can you do? What can you expect? And we know really what they want, and that's also important for us. And now, what you are waiting, the results. Of course, you know they are probably great because I will not mention it if that was not the case. So first, the comparison between 2020. It's an increase of 80% of session. Not that bad, but what is great is that we had approximately these numbers all the year since we work for Belrobotics. So yeah, that's wonderful. And even better, it's the number of quotes. Because this year we had like 39% more of quotes for the SEO only. And you can see it's great because it also shows the seasonality of the product where you will start the season in March and it ends approximately September. So we know we have to be there for SEO during March, and we need the website to be great at this time. Other interesting results is also the fact that, and that's great, Jeff, because you mentioned it earlier, but we have a lot of click on non-branded queries. It means that 72% of the users coming on the website, they are coming because they are typing something like golf mower or maybe foot mower or anything else. They are not coming because they are typing Belrobotics or Belrobotics mower. And for me, I always tell to my clients that branded traffic, it's great. But when someone is typing Belrobotics robot, for example, they already know them. So at the end, did I do the job? Maybe not. But when they are typing something like golf mower, I did the job. And yeah, that's better. Another thing is the fact that the blog is attracting like 70% of the traffic. This is also the proof that the strategy to put the keyword with low volume on the category pages and to have more generic blog is working. Because you can also see that 80% of the conversion are coming for the category page. So these pages with really low traffic, at the end, they are converting a lot. The blog, obviously, is also converting. And to be fair, it's not something I see a lot, at least at this scale, because 20% of the user, they are coming because of an article, they are reading it, and at the end, they're asking for quotes. And yeah, that's really wonderful to have that. And yeah, I already told you at the beginning, but 2021 wasn't an exception. When we had 1 user in 2017, we are now 2.5 users, and you need to take in account also that the fact that in 2019 we had a GDPR setup, so it means that now when the users are not accepting the cookies, we don't get the data. So we probably have a better result than that, but we don't know because of the GDPR. And yeah, the next step. I will let Diederick explain you the evolution of the robots, because it's also great for us. We have always new evolution, we have always new technology, and we can write new content on that, and we can also attract new users thanks to that.
Thank you, Corentin. I just want to stress out one point, is that the other one. Is that with Universem and Corentin, we have very good results, and our priority is not to create content a lot, but first to write the most relevant content as possible for our different persona. So every time we sit together with Corentin, we say, okay, what could be a really interesting article? And this is maybe why we attract successfully people to the blog. This year we launched GPS RTK robots, so they are more expensive, but the biggest advantage, two big advantages, is that the robot is now mowing systematically, so the robot is mowing in lanes, so you have a nice visual effect, but also the capacity of the same mechanical platform rose by 300%, so the same mower can now mow 3 times more. And this makes it very interesting for professional users, and we had a lot to explain about it because we are one of the first companies in the world to do that. We are the first one, in fact, to launch that this year. Our several competitors will launch the same next year. So that's the pattern mowing. So we tripled the capacity, and we also have a machine that can collect golf balls on driving ranges, and it will also work that way, but you see the very nice visual effect that it has, and we made a kind of animation, and this animation is also on our blog and explains how the principle of GPS RTK. So we try to educate and help professional users understand how this technology works. I will let you know.
This is me again. Just to give you an idea on some of the next steps, but first I mentioned it during the presentation, but the Nordics countries are something to do. This comes from discussion we had with Belrobotics, because we know that they are really advanced for all the automatization. Even the small municipalities in Norwegia and so on, they might buy some products like that. And optimizing the SEO is really a priority. And we also know it's working because we are working for SEA in these countries, and it's working like a charm. So the next year would probably be to optimize that for March, I think. Another one is to make a content inventory. So since the beginning, 2016, we had a lot of blogs, really a lot, with a lot of languages. And to be honest, we don't know exactly which ones are working. We know that in globality, it's great. But maybe in these blogs, some of them are not working great. And we want to know that. We want to be able to really focus on the ones that are maybe driving conversion, and to be sure we can even grow in the end. Another step is to develop a lot more the return on investment content, because you probably understand it during the presentation, but the Belrobotics product, they can really make users gain money, because they don't have to have someone to mow. They don't use gas oil, and that's wonderful considering the price for the moment. And we are sure, we also spotted some search query linked to that, but we are sure that we do some pages about that, we're going to attract even more important users. In the same way, Belrobotics are working on a calculator to prove to the user the return on investment they can get if they pass from an old mower to the robot one. And they can also get advice on the model if they give information like the size of their lawn and so on. And finally, we are also working now on Eco Robotics, one of the sister brands, and that's a challenge because we need to improve Belrobotics without hurting Eco Robotics, and the point is to make them all great. To say it. And yes, the key learning, I'm a bit of a troll, but I like that. The results are not achieved because we did advanced SEO, we did not any machine learning or any popular buzzword we can see on LinkedIn. Yeah, I see you. But it's only regular work a good view on the client objective and on the content, a long-term strategy. The first year, it took a bit of time. It was not wonderful. And to really have the teamwork with all our team, but also the client. It was just because of that. Thank you. I don't know if you have any question. Yes.
Because there are 22 languages and 16 countries, I guess that the challenge is there. So can you say a bit more about your strategy? Did you decide to translate everything, or did you focus on one or two market countries, or how did you proceed?
For the blog, not everything is translated. Because, for example, for the Nordics, it was harder to find translator. It's a plan to make it grow thanks to also the blog. So we can expect great results if we do it. But it's also a challenge because we have to avoid duplicate content. And when we do that in French from France and French from Belgium and French from Luxembourg, we sometimes have quite a surprise, even with hreflang and the good tags. So yeah, that's a challenge.
From a budget point of view, we decided first to test out the block on the main markets, so France, Germany, and Benelux. And now we saw the results, and now we are expanding.
Exactly. Yes?
Do you have internal copywriters?
No. We work with...
I do the job. And with translator, of course.
And we have a communication agency, but no internal...
Sorry, yes.
Do you also focus on, do you only focus on text or also on images, video, PDFs, white papers?
Yeah, for example, the case you've seen with the Red Devil foot loan, we also try to optimize at the maximum the videos with, for example, schema.org inside the pages to mention, okay, this is for these clients, this is the author of the video and so on, to have better results also on that. And yes, for the images, we also pay attention on the ILT. But I think it's for the images a bit less important because it's really B2B. If it was, for example, Suvarna, I think, yeah, they have to work for B2C, but for B2B, it's a bit less important.
Yeah, again, a question about regarding the languages. How do you manage all the keywords in the search console? I mean, if it's in Norwegian or Italian, Danish.
Yeah. To be fair, the search console in this case, it's not always accurate. I'm sorry if I go too far into the details, but for example, French from France and French from Belgium, they tend to canonicalize. So it's still visible in the SERP, but it's canonicalized. So all the data are coming from the France, but at the end, we know people in Belgium, they also see the right one. So it's complex. And for the Norwegian, I have a list. I done it, so I'm still able to spot these keywords. And when I see a new one, honestly, DeepL is my friend. And it's working. I will never write content on my own for Norwegian, for example, even for the title, because I'm fear to be not perfect. But just to follow that, it's enough at the end. Yes.
Do you publish the articles also on social media? And if yes, what's the part of the traffic from some social post, or is it mostly SEO?
That's a good question, because it's Arnaud from Belrobotics that is pushing the article on Facebook. So to be fair, I don't follow it, but I can check if you're interested.
We publish it, but I don't think we follow what's coming from the social media and whatnot. Maybe we should. Yeah.
For Facebook, I don't know, but allez, if it's 5 people, it's 5 people. So, yes. Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.